All right, after a long weekend of putting up a shed, we're still not done yet. Decided to work on the trike again. So what I did was I took this piece of square stock and bent it to fit the belly pan, and it'll go right there, and that one there. On that side, I was ready to weld on. So now I'm going to weld it on. Okay, right now, that's the maximum wheelie that this trike would pull, mainly because the trailer hitch is hitting the ground in the back, which we're going to take off. Take that freaking trailer hitch off. This trike should not be pulling a trailer with the rear end set up the way it is. However, I jacked it up in the air so I could get underneath and weld the belly pan and do a lot of underneath welding. I just lay down there and weld upwards. And normally on a complete build, I would flip the scooter over before we ever got to this part. And but can't do it on this one, so this is what we do. Now I have welded the pan on, bent it up, welded about 4 inches, bend it up, weld, clamp, bend, weld, clamp, bend, weld, and that's all welded up. I found some other spots back there that needed some touch-up welds and a little extra finish welding from underneath. And once we drop this back on the ground, that's it. It'll never come up again, except for a wheelie. Okay, real simple little fender mount. Since the fender goes up and down with the bail, you just mount it right on there, bolt it on, and it's welded. There's a tab welded here, it runs straight down, and it'll be bolted on to the fender here, and that way everything moves together and works real easy that way. Okay, we've welded two of these rectangles together out of some small square tubing that I've had. And we're going to take the expanded metal, which happens to fit right in here, and cover this with expanded metal, and then it'll be hinged. The middle part will be the tray. There'll be a tray in here, and these pieces will be hinged where they pop up so you can access the motor from on top. And that's it for now. Now, in an effort to keep the upholsterer happy, we're going to take and we got this welded on. It's 16 gauge, real heavy. It came from the bottom of the trike and is now repurposed to the seat. And then we're going to pound this over and smooth the corners up. And then we take this thick black stuff and we put 2 layers of that on there. And then we're going to take 3 or 4 more layers of duct tape and cover this corner so that the fabric comes up and goes around that. You know, your upholstery, you don't want your upholstery getting tore up on your corners, so you pad the corners somewhat with the tape, and keeps the upholsterer happy. He doesn't wind up chopping your nuts off in the middle of the night. Okay, bye. All right, Bigfoot made a tab for me for the starter solenoid. We use I just use a Ford. It's cheap and runs the starter real good. Takes the pressure off of the little push button switch that we're going to stick in the dash. So that's what that's for. Alright, kiddies, today we're going to put the throttle cable on. So I took off all the old junk and I came up with this roller here. I have one and I've used them several times. It's going to get welded up right there for the throttle cable. It'll fit right there for the throttle cable to go on through, straight shot to the engine back there. And then I went off to my handy-dandy parts store, bought a brake line, a 5-foot, 1/4-inch brake line. It seems good. And put a nice bend to it right there and weld her on right there. You'll see that. I'm going to weld that on for the throttle cable. Come back and under the seat, and it'll be pointed right up at that thing. And then the throttle cable will be set up. And then we're going to put the switches on today. So I've got the switches out, and we'll be marking the spots. All the switches, where is it? All the switches go right there. You know, everything is right there. And when I get to it, I'll explain why I put the switches in the order that I put them. All right. Well, that'll keep me going for a while today, and we got to finish up on the tray that goes up here. I got one side welded, and we're cleaning that up. The carburetor goes right there, and we'll clean this up and get the hinges welded onto it, and we'll see what happens next. All right, today I got the throttle cable tube welded on there. Nice brake line and a nice bend in it there. Nice easy curve, and it's welded. The other end is welded on right there, and it's pointed, and it out comes right there and pointed right up to the roller right there. Okay, so that's for the throttle cable. And I also put the switches on today, and so this is what you see from the driver's seat. The ignition switch, start button, turn signal, and high beam, low beam, turn signal. And then we also put the dash light gauges on. We put the gauges. That's what those are called. I hardly ever don't use gauges much, but these were on the trike already, the old trike. So I figured I better put them back on here. You know. Anyway, there they are. And now it's on to the next adventurous part of this journey, which will be, oh yeah, we got to finish the, the rack in the back. The rack in the back is last until the next one. All right, we got finally got back to work on the scooter because it's storming outside. So I drilled and put the screws in, and they're connected to barrel nuts. Yeah, the barrel nuts, and they're welded onto the thing. I haven't taken it off. I just did that, so it's still hot. And so that's the pedals. So he doesn't have very far to go to get to a pedal. You know, his foot's right there, bam, he's on the pedal. And these are the tank pedals, M1A1, main battle tank. All right, next thing will be to mount the horn and the horns out here and the pump in there, and we're almost ready for paint. All right. The horns, so I found this, I got a lot of this nice chrome stuff, which will be painted, but who cares. So I'm going to mount the horns on this piece, and I'll cut it and smooth it up, and we'll punch. I got it punched for the holes right there, and so we're going to drill the holes and then mount these things, and we'll also cut that, and then we'll make a little mount that'll come off of here and go up to the bolt that holds the horn on the belly pan over there. And there's the horn mount. I'm sorry, a friend of mine was diagnosed with terminal cancer a few days ago and don't look good, and he's a good triker buddy, so we'll hold Doc in his prayers. Anyway, that's the horn mount, and on to the next thing. All right, this is the rear deck, and I have the two sides folded in, and I'm measuring for the bottom plate that you put all your groceries on. Looks like we need 47.5 by 15 5/8. All right, so I'll go cut some material for that, and then we'll put it on.